welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to be doing the mid-year book freakout tag. Ever since I've been on BookTube, I've wanted to do this tag. However, I joined like a month too late to actually do it. So I'm really excited to do it this year and tell you guys the books that I've liked, the books that I have not liked. So without further ado, let's get into the questions. First question is the best book that you've read so far in 2019. This is going to be a recurring theme throughout this tag. I've picked multiple things in multiple different genres that I enjoy because what's the fun of just recommending one book? So in the category of fantasy, the best book that I've read this year is Fury Born by Claire Legrand. If you like SJM but otherwise have really good taste in fantasy, I think this book is for you. It's about two queens equally as stupid in two different timelines. There's Earth magic. I think that the love interests are super fun. There is a love interest slash bad guy villain who kind of rivals the Darkling in my opinion. Like, he's kind of a bad bitch. I think it's kind of underhyped. I think there was some misunderstanding when this book was released kind of about the bisexual rep, and so a lot of people steered away from reading it. There's a lot to love about this series though. I like that both the queens in the different timelines are very strong, very unlikable at times. I haven't read a fantasy that I've been this passionate about in a very long time, so I think that says something. In the category of YA contemporary, my favorite book that I've read this year is Autobiography by Christina Lauren. This handles religion and sexuality and first-time love equally well. It's about Tanner and Sebastian who fall in love in Utah and all of the challenges that come with that because they're in a highly religious city and because one of them is highly religious. It's got hard topics, but it also doesn't feel hard to read about, if that makes sense. Like, there are some heart-wrenching moments and you definitely feel for Sebastian, who is the religious one, but at the same time, the story as a whole feels hopeful and warm and bubbly, and it was just exactly what I needed. Also, the depiction of first love felt very true to my experience of falling in love in high school, so I really related to that and really enjoyed it. And then in the category of romance, my best book of 2019 so far is Written with Regret by Ali Martinez. I just finished this book this week and I can say without a doubt, holy shit balls Batman, that was a wild ride. I wouldn't necessarily recommend it to people, but it was just the level of stupid that I personally needed. I haven't been reading a lot of dark romances this year, and this was kind of the first one that really spoke to me. So it is a dark romance slash shitty psychological thriller, and I just ate it up. You've got mistaken identities, murder, babies on doorsteps, and I just enjoyed it. And you're like, Chandler, can't you find that in just like a psychological thriller? That's true, but I actually really enjoyed the romance in this story. I liked how the two characters came together. I liked that they had individual personalities. I think it can be really hard to get people to care for the actual characters in a romance, and I just cared about these characters. I thought they were really fun. Also, there's a 4-year-old kid in this book. The fact that I'm starting to enjoy romances that involve like dads with children has me questioning my whole existence, but that's a story for another time. Number 2, best sequel you've read in 2019. This one goes to Kill Switch by Penelope Douglas. I put this on my list, but I didn't really think about the fact that I was gonna have to talk about it and defend this book to people. It is the 3rd book in a series, and all I have to say about it really is just yikes. This is another dark romance, and it really takes the cake in terms of being the craziest shit I have read, pretty much. It's the 3rd book in a series, so I can't really go into detail, but the series as a whole is about these 4 guys who do some shitty things in high school, and they're punished for it. They want to exact their revenge after they get out of prison, so it's a wild ride. The love interest in this one, Damon, is a character that we are supposed to hate for the first 2 books, and I think I hated him actually for the first 2.5 books, but by the end of his story, I was so just entranced and engrossed, and I just wanted him for myself because he turned into a sweet cinnamon roll, even sweeter than any of the other male characters in this series, and I'm just a sucker for that shit. Like, give me the most fucked up dude and then make him sweet, and I am about it. Not in real life, that shit's not cool. I like a nice guy, but in books, give me the weird stuff. Number 3, a new release you haven't read yet, but you want to. For me, it's mostly romances. I really want to read A Lesson in Thorns, Fix Her Up, and The Bride Test. I'm not going to go into the plot for any of these. You can look them up on Goodreads. But the recurring theme is that I want to read more smut. I feel like my reviews and recommendations have been really lacking in the books that I truly, truly enjoy, and that is smutty new adult and adult contemporary romance. But don't worry, I've got things coming. Number 4, your most anticipated release for the second half of the year. Not to be that bitch, but like, I am. So I am most excited to read The Beautiful by Renee Ahdieh. I was lucky enough to pick this up at BEA and get it signed by Renee, who is just a sweetheart, can I say? She's gorgeous and she writes great books. I have loved her ever since The Wrath and the Dawn. I know that's kind of a contentious read, like not everybody likes it, but I personally adored it. This is about vampires, and I believe the 1800s in New Orleans. If you didn't know, I love vampires, and also most of my family is from the New Orleans area. It is New Orleans, by the way, not New Orleans. Just had to point that out for all of y'all who aren't Southerners, but I'm just excited. I kind of like historical vampires, kind of gives me those Interview with a Vampire vibes, and I'm thinking that this is going to be kind of like a dark vampire story, which I'm just excited for. Like, vampires are coming back in a big way. J. Kristoff's writing vampires. I digress. I'm just very excited to get back into the blood-sucking That sounds, you know what I mean. Number 5 is biggest disappointment of the year, and that was really easy to pick out because for me, romance is something that I love so much, and to have a romance spin-off that I was looking forward to for years and years just really not work out has made me really disappointed. It's Pretty Reckless by LJ Shen. This is a spin-off of her Sinners of Saint series, and it follows the child of some of the people in the other series. Unfortunately, the plot and the characters just really didn't work for me. It read very much like a stereotypical new adult romance. Not that her other ones aren't stereotypical, but this one just did not work. It did not have that same zest and flavor and like angst that I was so craving. I am really excited for the other books in the series, but this one just really did not do it for me. Number 6 is Biggest Surprise. That one's really, again, very easy. If you guys watched my I Read 5 female romances, you guys know that I read Stage Dreams by Melanie Gilman. This is a historical Wild West graphic novel with a female romance and a trans main character. This book has own voices, and the illustrations, the love story, the lack of transphobia, it just felt so warm and inviting and just like comforting to read about. I really liked this. It took me completely by surprise because it was like free for download. You didn't have to request it on NetGalley, and yeah, it was just a really good time. It was really refreshing, and I definitely needed it. I haven't read very many graphic novels this year, and this one was just perfect. Number 7 is favorite new author, either debut or new to you, and this one, again, was super easy, kind of. I was trying to think where to put this author or their book on my list, and this was the perfect category for this author. It's Casey McQuiston. I liked Red, White, and Royal Blue quite a bit. I believe I gave it 5 stars. It's not my favorite book of the year. It's not my favorite male romance, but I genuinely enjoyed it. It was a really fun rom-com. The writing was excellent, and in general, I just like Casey. I like what she stands for. I love that she is so unabashed about her love for new adult, and that we need that, and I think we do. I think everybody knows that we need new adult besides just like the shit that's on Amazon. No matter how much I love it, like, we need more, and we need good stuff. Number 8, newest fictional crush. Magnus Lucas Demora. Swoon, motherfucking swoon. What can I say? I love a man with big idiot energy who also has like a scar marring his face, so he's not totally perfect. Damaged Goods. Magnus is from the Fallen Kingdom series by Morgan Rhodes. I listened to some of these audiobooks like back to back last week. I think I listened to like 3 through 5, and I just fell deeper and deeper in love with this damaged bad boy. The audiobooks I could not recommend highly enough. If you're wanting a fantasy that's kind of Game of Thrones-esque, that sounds like it is narrated by Littlefinger, you have to pick these up. It's basically like Game of Thrones as well. It's a multi-POV story. It's got earth magic. It's definitely more fantastical than Game of Thrones, and obviously a little bit less heavy in the political machinations and murder because it is a YA story, but there is sex, there's intrigue. I would recommend it. It's just a really fun, good time, and Magnus, he really butters my biscuit. Number 9 is newest favorite character, and that is Jack from Jack of Hearts and Other Parts by Elsie Rosen. This is a highly underrated book in my personal opinion, but Jack is awesome. He is unabashed in his sexuality. I love how sex positive he is, and this book as a whole is. It's really rare to find very sex positive YA. I think we've talked a lot about slut shaming and feminism, but we haven't talked a lot about actual sex in YA, and this book does a really good job at talking about it in a way that's not gratuitous, but that's funny and real and raw and relatable, and I think Jack does a very good job at being a character to carry that out into the world. So highly recommend this book, especially for Pride Month. Number 10 is a book that made you cry, and not very many books have made me cry this year. Maybe I'm soulless, I don't know, but when I read Far From the Tree by Robin Benway, I cried like a little bitch baby multiple times as I was driving, which is probably not road safe, but you know what? It's fine. Books about adoption and found families really do it for me emotionally. It kind of felt like This Is Us, but like actually heartfelt. Number 11, a book that made you happy. For this, I picked Stay Sweet by Siobhan Vivian. I listened to this on my way to and from Book Expo and BookCon. It was just the kind of sugary sweet contemporary that I feel like I grew up reading, in Sarah Dessen and some other contemporary authors in the summer, in middle school and high school, going to the library and picking up those books to read by the pool. It just really brought me back to those times, and I think it just had a very nostalgic feel. I loved how original the plot was. It's about this like ice cream stand that's been standing in this girl's town for a very long time, and it's about her kind of very original. The romance I know is very hit or miss, but I personally enjoyed it, and overall it's just a really sweet time. Number 12, most beautiful book that you've bought this year or received. All the Ones I've Unhauled. I feel like I'm just in such a different place than I was when I started my channel, or even before I started my channel. My goal and desire is not to own as many books as I own anymore. I would rather just own the books that I'm truly passionate about and just check the rest out from my library. I think I was going through a bad like mental space when I started buying so many books, and now I'm doing a little better, and I can fuel my passion for shopping around by scrolling the Libby app when I get depressed. Number 13 is our last question, and is which books do you want to read by the end of the year? There's so many books that I want to read, but I pulled a few from my list of approved arcs on Edelweiss that I'm like chomping at the bit to get to. The first one is Cry Wildflowers War, which is a female-female fantasy, and I believe it might be kind of science fiction-y. Sign me the fuck up. Also Serpent and Dove, which is another fantasy that I've heard like a ton of buzz about and a lot of good things. Gideon the Ninth, which like, come on, everybody knows about Gideon the Ninth, right? And then The Wallflower Wager by Tessa Dare. This is a continuation of Tessa Dare's like current series that she's running. I liked the first 2 books. I'm really excited for this one because it's a character that like I'm dying for her to get her day in the sun. So that's it. That's the end of the tag. In the comments down below, please let me know what books you guys have read this year that you are super excited about and that you think I should read. And then also let me know if any books have disappointed you, any books that I should avoid. I love you guys so much, and until next time.